Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for the Monday Q&A, so let's get to it. And the first question is a Christmas question. Is Santa Claus real? Now you know you went and asked a question like that at Christmas time, knowing that a lot of people are going to listen to this with their children in the room. So listen up everybody, and this includes the children. I'm going to tell you guys the real secret story of Santa that not that many people know about. And I heard this story from my grandfather, who was a naval intelligence officer during World War II. And so he had the inside scoop on this. Now, a lot of you know that the original Santa was a Greek Orthodox bishop named Saint Nicholas, who was known for doing charity work. But a lot of people don't know how he went from being Saint Nicholas to actually becoming Santa Claus, and where he gets his powers from. Well, it turns out that Saint Nick was a friend of Admiral Byrd, the first Arctic explorer who explored the North Pole. And on one of his expeditions to the North Pole, he took Saint Nick with him. And while they were up there trying to tame reindeer, Saint Nicholas found a big red sled encased in the ice. And when they unchipped it, he started learning that it had certain powers. Now, scientists aren't sure exactly how this sled works, but they strongly suspect that it is alien technology because it seems to have the ability to cause time dilation. And that's how Santa Claus is able to travel around the world in one night and give toys to all the children around the world in a single evening. So that's actually where his powers to do that come from, is in the actual sled, and it seems to have time dilation abilities. All right, next question. What should a young female be able to squat, deadlift, and bench press after running your Novice 5x5 program for at least 6 to 12 months? I'm going to go with 12 months here. Now, I'm going to be less lenient on females as far as very strict numbers than I am with males, because there tends to be an even larger bone structure variation among females than there are with males. So the strength curves can vary dramatically more. So I'm going to say that the average height female, and that's anywhere between about 5'3" up to about 5'7", 5'8". Now, if you're taller than that or shorter than that, these numbers are going to be skewed a bit because you're going to have more overall body mass. And I'm going to go with numbers that are actually going to be advanced numbers for 140 to 150 pound average female. And I always go advanced off of what charts are considered advanced, and a lot of people don't like that. They say that my intermediate numbers are advanced. Yeah, on a lot of charts they are, and I do that intentionally because I feel that a linear progression novice program can push you to the borderline of an advanced lifter. So for females, that's going to be in that range. I would like to see them being able to do 5 rep sets with anywhere between 100 and 115 pounds on the bench press. I would like to see them at the end of this program, at the end of the year, being able to squat 150 to 165 pounds for sets of 5. And I would like to see their 5 rep max be somewhere between 200 up to about 210, 215 on the deadlift. And those are very achievable. Now, if you're a much smaller frame female, obviously you're not going to hit those numbers. You're going to be a little bit below the bottom of that range if you do the program correctly, and that's perfectly fine because a lot of women are not trying to put on maximum muscle mass, which is hard enough for them to do. So that gives you a good guideline of what to estimate for in a best case scenario. All right, next question, and this is also a question by a female. Shoulder press reps are failing after moving from upper-lower split 4 times per week to a full body routine 3 times per week plus an additional day to do whatever lifts cardio I want for fun. Everything else is progressing though. What might this be? Went from 3 sets of 10 with shoulder press to my final set failing to 8, back up to 9, then 8, and then 6. Alright, this is a little trickier with the upper body stuff for a female. What you oftentimes find is that due to muscle fiber densities, women do struggle more to gain and maintain strength in the upper body, and they run out of power more quickly oftentimes on upper body lifts than men. Whereas when they do the opposite on their lower body, women tend to be able to have a lot more strength stamina in their lower body, in my experience. So the issue you're running into is that your overall pressing frequency and volume is probably higher because you're doing other things like benching or dipping or anything before you do the overhead press, and you're pressing 3 times a week now instead of twice. And so you might be having issues With recovery there, you might need to reduce the volume just slightly. Now you're doing very, very high reps and trying to increase strength on a very high volume, high frequency program. You might want to cut the reps back just a little bit to gain some more strength. You might want to go down and work at the 5 or 6 rep range on all of your pressing to get those numbers back up, and that will carry back over to your high rep strength. But overall, it's a combination of probably just too much volume per session on such a high frequency for a female for your upper body if you're not eating a pretty substantial caloric surplus. So dial it back in, drop down to something like 3 sets of 5 instead of trying to do 3 sets of 10, and see if you can focus on the strength a little more. And since you're doing it 3 times a week like that now, if you need to take one lighter day to where you cut the weights about 10% on everything to get micro loading in there, you might want to consider doing that also. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 2.